everybody, I'm Miss Cooksey, and today I'm going to be introducing you to the concepts of a polynomial. You've seen polynomials before in math classes when you've been combining like terms or looking at different expressions that have a lot of exponents, but you've probably never used the word polynomial to describe it. Well, polynomials are going to be expressions or terms or combination of terms that have no square roots or negative exponents. So they can only have positive exponents, but their coefficients can be anything. There's a couple different kinds of polynomials that we're going to talk about. These all have different names, but they are all polynomials. So this whole section right here, monomial, binomial, trinomial, and polynomial, or oops, that's a little farther, are all polynomials, even though they go by different names. Imagine polynomials, the umbrella head, and then there's different kinds underneath the umbrella head, just the umbrella, and then there's different kinds underneath. First up, we have a monomial. So the root in monomial is this word mono, which means one. So a monomial is a constant, a variable, or a product of constants and variables with positive exponents. So this might be x, this might be 4x, this might be 4xy. There's no pluses, there's no minuses, and there's only positive exponents. Monomial, we call it 1 because it's one term. A binomial has the root word bi, meaning 2. So a binomial is a combination of two monomials. A trinomial, the root word here is tri. It's the sum of 3 monomials. A polynomial, again, is that umbrella word, and it's going to be the sum of any amount. So it could be more than 3. We can also call a monomial, binomial, and a trinomial a polynomial. So let's look at a couple examples of these polynomials. So like we said before, an example of a monomial might be x, set this smaller. It might be 2x, it might be 3xy squared z, as long as there's no addition and subtraction. A binomial is the sum of two unlike monomials. So maybe 2x plus 1 or 7x squared y to the third minus 6ab. These would be binomials because there's 1, 2 monomials and 1, 2 monomials. Trinomial is 3 monomials, so maybe x squared plus 2x minus 3. Finally, a polynomial is any number. So all of these are polynomials. We could also have x to the 7th plus 4, x to the 6th minus 5, x to the 5th plus 3, x to the 4th. Continue on as many terms as you want for a polynomial. So polynomials are going to be something that we talk about a lot, particularly when we get to Algebra 2, because we're going to be paying attention in Algebra 2 to parent functions, so the base form of a bunch of different functions, and then how we can transform them. And a lot of those parent functions are polynomials. So we might be looking at a function that starts with x to the 5th or a function that starts with x to the 3rd. One way that we can figure out some of the behavior of those graphs, so predicting, is the graph going to be kind of a Z shape? Is it going to be a U shape? Is it going to go like this forever and ever and ever? One of the ways we can predict that is by looking at the degrees of those terms. So we're going to look at the degree of a monomial and the degree of a polynomial. To find the degree of a monomial, so to find the degree of only one term, we are going to add up all of the exponents within that term. So for x to the 3rd, if I add up the exponents, I get 3. For x to the 3rd y squared, if I add up the exponents, I get 5. 4x to the third, y, z to the fourth. Remember, this y has a secret exponent of 1. So this is actually going to have a degree of 8. 3 plus 1 plus 4. To find the degree of a polynomial, we're going to find the degree of each individual monomial that makes up the polynomial. So we'll find the degree of each piece, and then we'll pick the biggest degree. So it's the greatest degree in the polynomial. Most of the time, this is just the biggest exponent. We're going to look at a harder example for right now, but when you see this in class, most of the time, the degree of a polynomial is just the biggest exponent. So 4x to the 3y squared, the degree of this monomial is 5. X squared y, the degree of this monomial is 3. 6x, the degree of this monomial is 1. So the degree of the polynomial is the greatest degree, which in this case is 5. There's a couple other vocabulary words that we are going to need so that we can talk about polynomials correctly. The first vocabulary word is standard form of a polynomial. When a polynomial is in standard form, the degrees are in order from the biggest to the least. So that means that, for example, here, the degree of 5 is in the first place, the degree of 3 is in the second place, and the degree of 1 is in the last place. We write polynomials in standard form to make them easier to compare and to also figure out their terms for when we're combining like terms. It keeps things nice and organized, and it makes it easier for us to do math with things. So let's put this polynomial in standard form. So the degree of x squared is 2. The degree of negative 7x is 1. Remember, we're just looking at the exponents for each monomial. 8x to the third is 3. 6x to the fifth is 5. 5 has no variable, so it actually has a degree of 0. Now we need to rewrite this to put these in the correct order. So 6x to the fifth is going to come first because it has a degree of 5. Then 8x to the third. Then x squared. Then negative 7x. Then 5. So this is now in standard form, and the degree of this whole thing is 5 because that is the biggest exponent or the biggest degree of a monomial. The last vocabulary word we need is the leading coefficient. The leading coefficient is the coefficient of the first term in standard form, and this is what trips people up sometimes. Some people might look at this polynomial and say, oh, the leading coefficient is 1 because I know there's an invisible 1 in front of that x squared. Well, this is not in standard form. We have to rewrite our polynomial in standard form to find the leading coefficient, which in this case is 6. So in this video, we learned a ton of new vocabulary. We learned what a leading coefficient was. We learned what the standard form of a polynomial was. We learned about the degrees of monomials and polynomials. And we learned just what a polynomial is in general, as well as monomials, binomials, and trinomials. Thanks for watching. I hope this video was helpful. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss a video, and I'll see you next time.